The grounding metaphor that I used was the winding game. And in the winding game, you have a circle of chairs normally with numbers on them, and the kids have a card, say 23. The child, if it's a set of 10 chairs, the child would go around twice, all the way around, and then to the third chair to make 23. I have some student work here. With the 5-step process, you do the shared experience, and then the students illustrate what they did. Here are a couple of illustrations. So this child has the clock with the children walking around the clock. These are the children that were holding the cards for them. These are the kids in the class that are trying to guess what the time was. The next step is to write about the experience. So they're writing about what they did and maybe what they learned from that experience. We went outside, we played a game called the winding clock. I was the 25 and my friend was the 7. The time was 7:25. As a group, you pull out some feature words that the children heard or wrote about while they were doing their writing. And then from that, you come up with a sentence. Some classes do it together with younger kids. And the sentence kind of sums up everything that happened during the day. And then there's a symbolic representation where the children try to pull math from what you've done. So some of the symbolic representation, we had a child who did the minute hands, counting by 5s from 5 to 55. I think because we had already done the winding game previously in the year and understanding place value and how tens, a set of 10 makes a 10, or 10 ones makes a 10, they were able to understand that one time around makes another group. So with telling time, they were able to understand that all of these minutes put together come up with that hour. I think those metaphors are important because if they can understand that concept, you can carry that over into so many other topics in math.
So the grounding metaphor would be the exchange game, which we also did in the fall with place value, with 1s to 10s and 10s to 100s. And then in the winter, we used it for exchanging coins. And so I brought some examples. So they would roll their dice and they would have to equate that to a money value. So they had pennies, nickels, and dimes in their bank. And then they were taking the money out of the bank to put into their wallet. So once they got 5 pennies, they could exchange it for a nickel. And once they had 2 nickels, then they could exchange the 2 nickels for a dime. And their goal was to get 10 dimes to equal $1. And then some of the symbolic representation that I thought was good in the end. You can exchange 2 nickels for 1 dime was the feature sentence. And so n plus n equals d. So then just recently, just this week, we did the exchange game with measurement. So they had the materials were 1-inch squares, like 1-inch tiles, 3 rulers, and a yardstick. And before they did this, they had some time to explore with those materials and see how the inch squares compared to a ruler and how a ruler compared to a yardstick. So they did the same process with rolling their dice. And once they got 12 inches, they would have to exchange it for a ruler. And when they had 3 rulers or 3 feet, they would exchange it for a yardstick. I feel like just knowing the process of how the exchange worked really helped them then to focus more on the concept of what they were learning. So they weren't focusing, especially on the measurement game, as much on the rules and the process of the game, but they were able to tune into the math concept. So I felt like it took a shorter amount of time to get them to their feature sentence and the symbolic representation. I feel like it allows them to kind of shine in the area that they're good at. So if you're good at drawing pictures, you can really show what you know in a picture. But if you're a writer, then you can show what you know in writing. And sometimes I have found that students who don't usually get a chance to shine in math with like a test or a paper, this is their time to come up and they'll show their work. And I get a better understanding of who my students are as mathematicians.
I also think it's neat what the kids take from it. One of the students said last week, "Are we doing math today?" And we had already gone through a whole math process, but because they're so used to math being a pencil paper worksheet kind of thing, that they're doing math and they don't realize that they're doing math. They're writing about math, they're drawing about math, they're talking about math, and they don't even realize that they're doing that.
I'm just even thinking that this exchange game could also apply to time. Like I'm sitting here thinking of how you could exchange minutes for an hour or for a day. So, I mean, it's really neat when you sit and you start looking at what you have to teach and how you can take these grounding metaphors and really build on them the whole school year.